Okay, Vikings-Panthers tomorrow. Um, I wasn't really going to do these preview videos anymore, but there's actually a fair amount of Vikings news. Thielen has been on the COVID list all week. Um, I think it's unclear if he tested positive or he was in contact with someone who had. Uh, but either way, it's kind of looking like he ain't going to play. Um, that's not official yet, but it's looking pretty likely. We've also had a lot of injury stuff this week. Ezra Cleveland's going to be out again, and Irv Smith's going to be out. Harrison Smith should play. He was on the injury report this week, but so we're going to be a little shorthanded. I mean, what else is new in 2020 Vikings season? On the plus side, the Panthers will not have Christian McCaffrey, so that helps a great deal. Of course, then the big storyline is it's Teddy returning. It's not his first time here. Well, no, it is his first time here playing. Like he was here with the Saints, I guess in 2018, but he didn't play. Um, you know, it would be it would be a very emotional return if there were going to be fans there, but there aren't. Um, Panthers have not been very good, to say the least. They have worse record than we do. Um, but they did win last week. They shut out Detroit, which I don't even know what that's worth at this point. Because Detroit then went and got blown out at home on Thanksgiving, as is tradition. That's a tradition like no other. It's humbling for the Vikings because they just got beat at home by the 2-7 Cowboys, and then the Cowboys went and followed that up by getting blasted on their home field by the artist formerly known as the Blank Skins. So I was kind of hoping Dallas would win that game because then it'd be like, well, okay, we lost to Dallas, but I mean, Dallas is kind of hitting their stride, maybe a little bit with Dalton figuring stuff. I don't know. It just makes the game look worse that they lost last week. But a funny thing happened on Monday Night Football. The Rams went into Tampa and got a win, and that actually sets the Vikings up for a chance here in 2 weeks to be playing for a playoff spot because you got Carolina at home and then Jacksonville at home. And I'm not saying either of those games are locks at all because, look, they've lost at home to Atlanta, they've lost at home to Dallas, so you can't chalk up anything as a sure win, even the Jacksonville game. But if you win those two games, Tampa Bay plays Kansas City tomorrow. It's it's hard to imagine Tampa suddenly flipping a switch and just being the 9-1 Chiefs, who I still think are the best team in football. I mean, Pittsburgh's undefeated, but Kansas City's still the favorite to win the Super Bowl as far as I'm concerned. So it's hard to imagine Tampa winning that game. It is in Tampa, but it seems like about the only team that can really play with the Chiefs is the Raiders for some reason. So, I would certainly make the Chiefs a sizable favorite tomorrow. So, Chiefs win tomorrow. Vikings win their next two games. In 2 weeks, you go to play Tampa Bay, and you would be playing at that moment. Barring, I mean, it's possible that like maybe Chicago will still be in the mix, but of course Chicago plays at the Packers tomorrow night, so that's probably going to be a loss for Chicago. So you should be able to, by the end of the day tomorrow, if things go well, and when the hell do they? But if things go well tomorrow, you will have at least tied, and then by virtue of tiebreaker, you'll have surpassed Chicago. Theoretically, you'll be going into Tampa Bay playing for a playoff position. And you could be there anyway, depending on kind of what the Cardinals do. Cardinals got the Patriots on the road. Who knows? I mean, the Patriots beat the Ravens, and then they lose to the Texans. So I don't know what the Patriots are anymore. It would be wonderful if the Patriots and Buccaneers both fell out of the playoffs. That would be wonderful. But and look, the Vikings would be big underdogs going into Tampa Bay anyway. They'd be 6-6 if that happened, and Tampa Bay would be 7-5. So, and you've never beaten Brady. They probably are kind of a bad matchup because they got a lot of receiving weapons, and of course our secondary just got chewed up by the Cowboys. But you'd have a chance, and at this point, that's all you can hope for is just a chance. And of course, that wouldn't clinch a playoff spot even if you did go into Tampa and win, because then you still have 3 games left. But 2 of those games are the Bears and Lions. The other one is against the Saints, and who knows what the Saints will be throwing out there at quarterback. You got a little bit of a prayer, just a little bit of a prayer. I mean, you'd be in really good shape if you hadn't blown that fucking Cowboy game. But if you hadn't blown the Cowboy game, you would be 5-5 right now, and you would potentially be getting into a playoff spot this weekend if you win and Cardinals lose. Didn't work out. Maybe this won't work out either. Maybe we're going to lose to the Panthers or Jaguars. Maybe both. I don't know. I think even shorthanded, you should be able to beat Carolina and you should be able to beat Jacksonville. I mean, those 2 teams are not as talented as Dallas. I mean, Dallas is bad, but they still have a lot of talent. They can pop up for a game. I mean, they almost beat Pittsburgh, and they almost beat Pittsburgh with like a 4th-string quarterback, and we played their 2nd-string quarterback. So I don't know. It's just one of those years. You've had 2 bad home losses. You can't afford a third, obviously. Like they absolutely have to win their remaining home games to have any shot at all. And then hey, you got a shot. If you at this point, all you can hope for is you go into Tampa Bay in 2 weeks and you have a shot to pull into a playoff position. And if you do, hey, that's great. I mean, nothing would make me happier than for the Vikings to get to the playoffs and do it by denying Tom Brady. Maybe it's a pipe dream. Seems like anything positive with the Vikings in 2020 is a pipe dream, but they still have a shot. Less of a shot than they did before last Sunday, but they still have a shot. But step one, you got to beat the Panthers, and I don't care if you don't have Adam Thielen, Ezra Cleveland, Irv Smith. I don't care if Harrison Smith is out. You got to beat him. You got to beat him any way you can. And I don't know that the Cleveland loss is that big because, not that he isn't good, but Brett Jones filled in okay last week. There were people talking about how awful the offensive line was. I didn't really see that. Like we've seen the Vikings games in recent years where the offensive line was just horrible, and I didn't think this game against Dallas was on that level. I mean, they basically were grinding them on the ground at least in the second half, and Kirk played really well. So I didn't see what some people saw. I know that like the PFF grades for some offensive linemen were really bad, but I didn't see that. I thought they played solid, and Dallas has a fairly good front four. You're not going to face quite that level of talent. Like again, Dallas has talent. They're bad this year, but they have talent, and they can pop up for a game. I don't know that Carolina can do that. I'll be curious how Teddy plays. I mean, I'm gonna, I root for Teddy. I hope he plays. I hope he plays well tomorrow, but the Vikings win. I'll accept that. If he, I can't even imagine the takes from that certain segment of Vikings fans if Teddy Bridgewater comes in here tomorrow and beats the Vikings and Kirk struggles, or even if Kirk doesn't struggle, because these fucking people blamed last week's loss on Kirk Cousins because of course they did. I swear to God, there needs to be a psychological study of Vikings fans who blame Kirk Cousins for everything. Like, Kirk Cousins was excellent last week, and they blame the loss on him. It's like, can we blame the defense? Can we blame Jefferson for dropping a ball that's right in his hands that would have kickstarted a late drive? I don't know what is it with these people. We almost deserve to have a bad team this year with some of these fans. I'm so sick of the fan base this year, but I digress. But yeah, it's gonna be hot take city if Teddy comes in here and outplays Kirk, or just beats the Vikings through any means. Like Teddy could go 10 for 30, and Kirk could go 31 for 35 with 4 touchdowns. But if the Panthers win, it's going to be, oh, Teddy beat Kirk. But, I hope Teddy plays well. I root for him. I wish we still had him. I mean, I wish things had worked out differently. I thought he was going to, I definitely in the camp that I thought 2016 was going to be his ascension year to being maybe not a top tier quarterback, but he was certainly going to be very good, and he's got those intangibles. And we've seen him a little bit with the Saints, although, I mean, the Saints roster, a lot of quarterbacks could win with that, and he's gone to Carolina, and they haven't fared very well, and he's been a little hit and miss. But so I think the Vikings will win tomorrow, but I also thought they would beat Dallas, and I thought they would beat Atlanta when they played them. I really hope if they drop a third, if they have a third really bad home loss, obviously that's the death nail. Like the nail is in the coffin just a little bit right now, just the tip. But it'll really be in there if they lose to Carolina, and obviously if they lose to Jacksonville. But you win these two, Chiefs take care of business. You got a legitimately big football game in a couple weeks down in Tampa Bay, so you'd have a shot. That's all you can ask for.